if you got 10 pitchers on your team, you've got 10 starters and you've got 10 relievers. Everyone should be able to go out there and throw 5 innings, 6, 7 innings, and throw strikes. I don't care. This labeling them starters, labeling them relievers, they all have one job: throw the ball over the plate and get the out.
Well, and there's been a couple of arms for Evansville that have been very impressive, no matter what scenario they've been thrown in. One of them is Jake Polansik, and I finally sat down and continued to kind of crunch the numbers on Jake Polansik just to see exactly what the Otters were getting from him. In his last 10 appearances, he's clocked 16 and a third innings, and in that time's allowed 2 hits, no runs, only 7 walks, and 25 strikeouts. That's consistency from a guy that's coming out of the bullpen.
Right, and I had the pleasure of talking to him out in the concourse before the game tonight, and I did compliment him on, I said, you throw strikes, and that's what we need. Never mind that 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Anyone can throw, well, not everyone. A lot of people can throw a ball 90 miles an hour, but they can't throw strikes. Your job is to throw strikes. You're doing a great job. He said, thank you. Now, that I appreciate. It was the thank you.
And, you know, as we kind of look back at some of these things in the last couple of weeks, Evansville has been very good at getting men on. No two ways about it. They've drawn walks very well. They've gotten little base hits here and there very well, but they're leaving men on base. And finally, on Friday and Saturday there at Washington, every time they had an opportunity to punish that Washington team, they did. They couldn't quite do it enough on Sunday and couldn't pull out that victory. But it was good to see them have opportunities and cash in on most of them.
Yes, because in one of those games in Washington, the first inning, the pitcher walked all 3 batters. Well, not all 3. I mean, he walked 3 batters. And you had the bases loaded, and I believe there was only 1 out. And that was the first batter that got out. The second batter and the third batter walked. And, well, the fourth batter did too then. Yeah. And, but again, when you get the bases loaded, you've got to score. You know?
Yeah, and it was so uplifting to then see after that inning, because that was Friday night.
Was that Friday night?
To see the team come out a couple innings later on their next rotation through and capitalize.
Yeah.
They were given a guy on base, and then an error allowed him to get to third, and they struck right there.
Right.
Next inning, they did it again, and it felt like even though they lost Sunday, they did that consistently all weekend. Washington's a different team. You have to approach those games a little bit differently when it comes offensively. A team like Joliet, you make the most of their mistakes that they give you, you're going to beat that team.
Right.
They're not the same as Washington where they're going to put up 8 runs at you at once like Washington almost did against Evansville. This is a Joliet team that if they find offense, it will be sporadic. I think I've told you a couple times. I had a youth coach tell me once, we score once every inning, we'll beat them 9-0. That's how you beat a team like Joliet. You grab 1 or 2 here or there, and you're going to find yourself on top.
That's right. You don't
team.
need that like we got the other night, 6 runs in they won 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
And we were down, 4-0 at the time. It shows you I listened to you when you're on the road, buddy. So,
and
no,
you know,
all you need, like you said, your coach was right. 9 runs, 1 an inning. That's 9 runs.
This is a Joliet team who has a couple of big members of the team who are not playing due to some bad injuries that have put guys on the 60-day IL. Cole Stanton and Turner Larkins both unavailable. They were consistent bats through the lineup. They also have Jake Gunter, one of their consistent infielders, who's on the 7-day. Injuries have started to hurt this Joliet team, and they're going to have to really fight for their lives in these 3 games. A fun little piece about this series, the time that these 2 teams played in Evansville swept them as part of their 9-game winning streak.
Right.
When we went to Joliet swept us, and it was part of their 8-game winning streak.
Right. Okay.
Now neither team's in a winning streak, and it all comes down to these 3. There's a very good chance the team of these 2 who wins the series not only claims 3rd spot, but it then controls their destiny the rest of the way. So these are some big games against a team who's right there next to you.
I know it was a 1-game separation between us and Joliet.
And not only do we have 3 and 4 playing here, I say a few miles, a couple hours north of us in Schaumburg, Washington and Schaumburg are facing off the 1st and 2nd teams. So there could be a lot of movement this week.
Yeah.
Evansville just has to worry about themselves, get their own job done, grab some wins, and they're going to be all right.
You're right. You know, if this was a Major League stadium, we'd look up on the roof and we'd look at what the score is. Boston is fifth inning, New York Yankees 5, Boston 6. And that's all you do is you keep watching them.
Celebrating every time a new run comes up. Yeah.
Right. And,
yeah, luckily for Evansville, they don't have to do that yet. But there is a good chance if things don't go their way in this series and then against Florence this weekend, all week on the road next week, they could be keeping an eye on other games, hoping they go their way. Well,
you might be running down to the other broadcaster and saying, hey, what's the latest on Washington or Joliet or whoever?
And, that's where it's so important that when you still have control of your own destiny, you win these games. This is a Joliet team that you've beat this year. You have proven that you can beat this team, and this is where it matters. You got to do it here.
But you got to play heads-up baseball. We've got to take advantage of their mistakes, and our pitchers have to throw strikes. We can't walk anybody.
I tell you what, 6 games left here at historic Bosse Field in this regular season. The first of those 6 starts in just a couple of seconds. Don't go anywhere. First pitch coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. It's Joliet and Evansville coming at you soon. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. And with that, we take your attention to the mound where this evening Justin Watland looks to continue what has been a successful year for him. Watland has, been an arm that Evansville can rely on night in, night out to give them, 6, 7 innings and also keep this opposing team off the board. Today it's going to be a tough Joliet squad who will start off with Tyler DePreta-Johnson, Briley Ware, and Matt McGarry. Keep an eye on Briley Ware, one of the league's best bats. The last time Joliet was here, Briley Ware was the top bat in the entire league. He got hit in the helmets on the first pitch that he had, and it was Watland throwing to him.
Was that right?
Watland also faced this Joliet team in Game 1 of the series at Joliet, and in the first pitch to Briley Ware at Joliet, he hit him in the shoulder, so
really?
I got really worried.
Oh, boy.
So Tyler DePreta-Johnson takes a strike and then swings on one. Now he's back 0-2 in the count.
Is that okay? Where it is?
0-2 the count to Tyler DePreta-Johnson. Pitch heads his way, and he half swings at one, keeps it fair. Tanksley will pick it up. His fire down to first is in time for out number 1. And with that, Milwaukee around the defensive alignment for Evansville this evening. It is Brody Tanksley behind the plates. He's returning there for the second straight game and the, I believe, 8th time in his last 10 games. Across the outfield, we have Baez in left, Gordon in center, Mcnamee in right. Across the infield, it's that all-star infield of Davis at third, Khalil at short, Armstrong at second, and Zach Bierman at first. First pitch home to Briley Ware. He's in there for a called strike on the high inside quadrant.
Now, do you think possibly the lineup that you're looking at, you just described, that would be the lineup for the rest of the playoffs? Or possibly?
I'd imagine so. As an 0-1 is swung on and missed for strike 2. And then the DH, of course, I'll talk more about him when we get to the Otters batting area, is Brian Rosario. He's the one I want. If one of these guys needs to DH, make sure Rosario is then playing left or whatever, because Rosario's been another great bat. A swinging strike 3 is going to sit down Briley Ware with a German-American Bank strikeout. Talk about owning that at bat. Watland went 1, 2, 3 strikes and got him down.
Yeah. Well, years ago in the Boston Braves, not Milwaukee Braves, Boston Braves, we had a pitcher, Augie Gastiglione or something like that. He ended up being a New York Cop. He was a left-hand pitcher. He threw fire, but he was as wild as could be. And almost every batter that would step up to the plate was hoping to get out there as quickly as they could.
Ball off the handle. The bat's going to end up in shallow right field. Armstrong will pick it up and toss it in towards his second base area mate, George Khalil, but it is a 2-out single for Matt McGarry.
Yeah, the point I was making, Matt, was he was so wild, batters were intimidated when they went to the plate. I played against a pitcher. He ended up pitching in the major leagues. He threw what you call a heavy ball. I don't know if you ever heard that remark or comment, a heavy baseball. That when it hit you, it broke people's bones. And I can't think of what his name was now, but he pitched for Detroit. And he hit more ball players in the lower minors. And you were intimidated. I mean, if he hit you, you had a broken wrist, a broken arm or something, that when you went up to the plate, you were hoping. I remember saying, "Dear Lord, I have a wife, I have a child," and I never got hit, but I was fearful. I'll say that.
So a called strike's going to even this count up at 1-1 for Matt Feinstein, with 2 outs and a runner at first.
About the only time I was ever afraid of a pitcher.
1-1 count is elevated to 2-1 out to the ball.
Tonight's a beautiful night for baseball, isn't it?
I tell you what, little breeze coming in from left center field. Other than that, clouds are keeping it nice and cool today.
I don't see the right fielder or second baseman shading the sun.
2-1 home to Feinstein. He's caught swinging at one low. Man, even though he does give up the single there on the kind of blooping single, Watland looks in the zone right now.
Yes, he does.
I mean, not only is he delivering strikes, he's delivering deceiving balls that are getting swung at and missed. 2-2's left alone, and we're going to have our first full count of the evening for Matt Feinstein.
And we'll have the runner going to second base. So let's see if this, maybe that rabbit on first base might get over anxious and get nipped before he gets out of his hole.
3-2 home. Inside ball 4, and there will be 2 men on here with 2 outs.
And that's something we do not want. I think our pitchers have given up more walks during the year than we have strikeouts. Am I correct in that?
Not quite. They've
We
still
do
struck
have more
Yeah, they've
strikeouts?
still struck out more than they've walked, but
Okay.
I'm sure that the ratio is not as high as this coaching staff would prefer.
Okay. But we walk too many, put it that way.
Getting set up on the mound is Justin Watland with his first pitch to Jackson Coots, and it's low and inside ball 1.
You know, the worst thing, Matthew, about a walk is they come along and come around and score. That's what really bites into you.
That's what they always say about a leadoff walk.
Yeah,
You're
right.
just guaranteeing a run.
Yeah.
1-0 the count to Jackson Coots, the first baseman. He pushes one foul to the left side. There goes J.R. Davis chasing after it in foul territory, and he runs out of room over there on that left side. Good to see him not hit that wall too hard. The last homestand we had here against Windy City earlier last week, Davis hit that wall too hard and went down for a little while, knocked the wind out of himself. He hit the wall so hard.
Yeah, I remember that. And on this particular one, I was blocked out by that steel pearl. Not the same one that bothers me, but I got to talk to Mr. Bussey and get those girders cut down. Strike.
So the count goes to 1-1, and a swinging strike will drop Jackson Coots down 1-2.
I thought I had strike.
Now here's where Watland has gotten himself in a place where he can end the inning. Got to do it right here, whether it's on the ground or with a strikeout. Just make sure it gets done.
Well, you know, this batter likes to uppercut. And he fouled that ball off on an uppercut, and he swung.
1-2 swung on and missed, and it's a German-American bank strikeout who's going to take us to the bottom half of the first inning. Joliet gets a couple men on, but they can't do anything with it. We've played 1 half, and we're still scoreless from Evansville. Bottom half of the first inning here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. And without further ado, we take your attention to the mounds where we introduce you to the lefty, Cole Cook, who is starting this one for Joliet. He will throw home to his catcher, J.P. Fullerton. And the men he faces today, Miles Gordon, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game. He'll be followed by Brian Rosario, and Zach Biermann. Then it's a bunch of righties ending things out. Baez, McNamee, and Davis man the middle three before Tanksley, Cleo, and Armstrong round out the starting nine.
By the way, what's the latest on Phillips? I haven't heard nothing. I mean, the last time we were home, you said he was working out, but couldn't grip a bat that well.
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet. I was hoping he was going to make it here for this 6-game homestand that ended the regular season. Right now, I don't see him down in the Otters dugout, but I'm hoping that by the end of the week he's back. I don't know if he's playing or not. He is eligible to come off the IL today. Today is his day. He's eligible to come off the IL. Okay. It just depends on if he's going to and when that might be. Okay. It's possible that the coaching staff and Phillips are still maybe looking at a playoff comeback potentially. It's still hard to tell, as I have not heard anything or seen him recently.
Well, folks, that's it. You heard it. And, Mom, I guess put the rosary beads back in the pocketbook. We don't need them for another day or two.
Do hope that we're able to see Dakota Phillips again this year. What a solid bat this lineup has missed. Pop up from Elijah McNamee's out there in shallow right field, and it's the right fielder who comes in and barely makes the grab. Maxwell able to bring it in for out number one.
Yeah, Phillips' bat is a great asset to the Otters. I mean, he's a home run hitter. He's an RBI driven person. He does a great job whether he's catching or third base. And I think he's a leader.
Well, it certainly felt like those couple games he was back with the team, even though not playing. It felt like that just having a leader like that in the dugout and in the locker room was helpful for the team to have. I think it lifted the spirits of the guys to have him back around them. So that's a lot of the reason I'm hoping he's back here this week, just to spend some time with his teammates. A 0-1 to Rosario stays well inside. The switch-hitting Rosario is going to bat righty tonight as we are facing a lefty starter. Rosario hits very well on both sides of the plate. 1-1 to him. He pushes it out towards right. Chasing that way is Maxwell towards the warning track, towards the foul line, and it drops. Trying to go for two is Rosario, and he's got himself a double. Talk about earning yourself an extra base. He had two in mind the whole way.
Well, he put the afterburners on about 20 feet beyond first base when he looked down there, and he saw he had it, and the afterburners went on, and wow, off he flew. I thought he was a Kentucky prospect for the Kentucky Derby.
Well, that's why Rosario's bat has been batting leadoff for so long this year, because of his consistency in that opening position. So.
Okay.
Now there's a man on second with one out. Baez hits one hard out towards center. Dropping back is Feinstein. He'll bring it in for the second out, and there goes Rosario towards third. Close play, not in time, and it works as a sacrifice fly for Baez.
I tell you what, he's got a little Kentucky Derby in him. Look, I mean, going there from second to third, he beat that throw easily. And Baez, if Baez keeps hitting off that back foot, that's all he's going to do is pop fly to the infield or outfield. They might go 300 feet, but still they're nothing but fly ball outs.
Zach Biermann heading to the plate now.
Zach got a couple RBIs Sunday, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a 2 RBI game.
One was on a sacrifice fly, and the other one was a base hit.
Yeah, it was a solid weekend for Biermann. Had 2 separate 2 RBI games in the weekend. He and McNamee really collabed for a great weekend. Right back up the middle, threw for a base hit, and Evansville's got themselves on the board. My goodness, watch out, Cole Cook. It just about took the pitcher out on its way, but it's an RBI single, and Evansville leads.
Well, if you notice, it was just a slap type swing, too. It wasn't a big full swing. It was just a slap, which is all you need. It was a line drive up the middle.
Well, you don't need much more from a guy like Biermann anyway, with how strong he is, let alone all he's got to do is make contact, and it's going to fall in somewhere.
He got 17 home runs or something like that now?
17, yeah. He'd need quite a hot streak in these last 2 weeks to
Yeah.
break the Otters' single-season record.
Oh,
That stands at 23. He was well on his way halfway through the year, but then he kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
But it's certainly possible that he could go storming back here in this last 12 games and grab it.
I think there was like a 2 or 3 week period. He didn't have too many hits, and none were home runs. And I think you made a remark that it's been quite a distance between home runs.
Yeah, he went, I believe it was 23 games without one.
Yeah.
Had 2 in a span of 5 games, and now has gone another like 12 or 15 days without one.
Right.
He got awfully close at Washington, though.
Well, let me put it this way. I don't care if he hit another home run or not. The thing is, if he can get base hits and drive in RBIs, that's all that counts. A home run is an RBI. Driving in a single with the runner on third, that's an RBI. Same thing. One's a single, one's a home run. Makes no difference. I'll take whatever he wants to give us.
Yeah, Biermann has 4 RBIs in his last 3 games, 5 if you count that one. So he's found some consistently recently.
Yeah.
An 0-2 to Davis is going to stay outside, and the inning will continue with a 1-2 count. Hard to believe we're to the final 6 games at Bosse Field this year. Regular season, there is a chance for home playoff games. It just kind of depends on how things fall.
Well, let me put it this way. I know I was talking to my family, and we're talking about the Otters, and I kept saying, if they don't get in the playoffs, I'm not going to celebrate my 90th birthday here at Bosse Field. So they've got to get in the playoffs.
Well, if the regular season ended today and we were ready for the playoffs, it would be Evansville at Schaumburg for a 1-game playoff on Tuesday, the 6th of September. And the winner of that 1-game playoff would get to host Washington for Game 1 before heading to Washington for Games 2 and potentially 3.
Okay.
Soft hit ball from Davis is going to stay foul.
Well, put it this way. My birthday's September the 12th. I don't care how they get there. If they have to cheat, I'll move the bases to 30 feet if it'll help. But I want to be on this broadcast on September the 12th, my 90th birthday. And then I'll say, auf Wiedersehen.
A 1-2 to J.R. Davis with 2 outs and a man on first, trying to extend this inning. Taken too high for ball 2. I'm sorry to say we cannot play on September the 12th, as that is the day between the division series and the finals series. So potentially they would be playing at Washington on Sunday the 11th, and if they made it to the Frontier League Championship Series, they'd play Tuesday the 13th. But the 12th is not a postseason game day. Base hit right back up the middle for Davis, has runners at first and second now with 2 outs.
So in other words, what you're saying to me, Matthew, is I've got to go to church a little extra and get the rosary beads out.
Yeah, we can't play on your birthday. We can play the day before and the day after. So we can
but I want to be on the radio when I'm my 90th. I mean, how many people are 90 years old and are on the radio or internet? Vince Scully, he was 94 when he died, but he retired, I think it was
like 2 years ago. Or I thought it was only 2 or 3 years ago that he fully retired. He was still doing some a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. He was 94 when he died, but he retired in the 80s.
So it must have just been 4 or 5 years ago then.
Yeah.
Ball hit hard towards the second baseman, Gary, into the glove, over to first, and the inning will end, but not before Evansville grabs themselves a go-ahead run with an RBI single from Zach Biermann. We've played 1 inning. It's Evansville 1, Joliet 0 here on the Otters Digital Network. Top of the second inning, and this is exactly what you needed. Give Justin Watland at least a tiny bit of breathing room, but you scored your 1 run per inning so far, and you're in control of this game.
Yeah, well, I'll take 1 run every inning, and as you say, or your old former coach said, 1 inning, 1 run per inning is 9 runs. I'll take that.
Well, and it all started off with, Rosario grabbing himself that extra base. It allowed him to score on Bierman's single.
Right.
J.R. Davis added a single, but it didn't do anything.
Well, let's give Rosario credit for motoring from second to third on that fly ball to right field by Baez. That's really set everything up.
Yeah, it was just the Otters taking advantage of opportunities.
And that's what you've got to do.
0-1 to Lane Barrymore. Swinging strike 2. He was totally fooled on that pitch.
He was way, way out in front. You ain't kidding. Let me get back to my 90th. Preston Heinenbach, who was the director of media relations, I understand they were going to fly me in on a helicopter and drop me off at home at the pitcher's mound. I was going to throw out the first pitch, sing the national anthem. Now, if we don't play on my birthday, that's all out.
1-2 to Barrymore. Swinging strike 3, again fooled on a pitch. And he's down with a German American Bank strikeout. Already 3 for Justin Watland on the day. Joliet is wearing their road grays with Joliet written across the front in green. They've got in orange, it's the green framing around them, and then they've got green numbers on front and back with the orange piping. Looks like green ball caps for Joliet as well tonight. First pitch home to Matt Birch. Zoom down to the right field line, but foul. And with that, we walk you through Evansville wearing their primary blue jerseys. Script Otters written across the front in white numbers on the back. And they've got the full blue caps with the white fronts up top.
I don't know, but if there were 50 games here at home, I think the Otters would wear those blue jerseys 40 out of the 50.
0-1 on the ground to the right side. Played over to Watland, and he is there in time for a 3-1 ground out for out number 2.
I think the Otters will wear those jerseys at least 40 out of the 50 times. Where I like the all white, the Brooklyn Dodgers or Los Angeles Dodgers, whatever you want to call it. I think that's baseball.
Yeah, 49 of the Otters games, 49 of the 83 games they've played have been in the blues. And then the whites, the grays, and theme jerseys make up the other 34 nights.
So I was pretty well.
Yeah, well over half of the games they've played in these blue jerseys. They wear them on the road quite a bit as well.
Is that right? Oh.
I'm a fan of their gray jerseys on the road with script Evansville
Exactly, me too. When you're at home, it's all white. When you're on the road, it's gray. That's the way baseball always has been.
Counts evened up at 1-1 for Carson Maxwell, the game's right fielder. Already made a couple tough plays in right. See what he can do with the bat. Watland, yet again, has a man fooled on a pitch and way out in front of it.
Yeah. Isn't college football on the same level? If you're home, you wear white, and if you're on the road, you wear your color.
I think they've switched it now, where the home team wears the color, and now the road teams wear white.
Oh,
I think it's switched.
Okay.
It's switched a couple of different times, so I don't really remember.
All right, okay.
The 1-2 to Maxwell. Outside, ball 2.
Well, I don't care if Notre Dame wears their blues, their greens, their whites, their yellows, or as long as that dome shines beautifully.
A 2-2 bounces in for ball 3, and we'll have a full count.
You know Mr. Bussing is a graduate of Notre Dame. The only thing I can say is I love going there and watching football because it's a beautiful, beautiful sight.
3-2.
Strike 3.
Left alone for ball 4. Looked really good in the high outside corner, but it's left alone. And for the second straight inning, after grabbing a couple of outs, Watland lets one get on base.
Have you ever been to Notre Dame?
I have not. It's one of the things I'd like to do now that I'm staying close by.
Right.
Hopefully this fall I can make
It's
it happen.
only about a 4-hour ride from here.
I'd like to make it happen.
Yes. Mr. Bussing has the tickets. He was the representative for the alumni, so if someone wanted a ticket to a Notre Dame home game, you would get in contact with Mr. Bussing, and he would have the tickets. There would be alumni that's not going, that want to get rid of their tickets, they'd give them to Mr. Bussing as an agent, I guess.
1 ball, no strikes. So the catcher, J.P. Fullerton, takes a pitch for a called strike 1, and with it is count evens. Do want to introduce you to the 3 men that are officiating tonight's game. Our umpire behind home plate is Bob Davis. Tyler Thurman runs things on the right side of the infield, and the left side of the infield's umpire is Roberto Pattison. Ball since bouncing towards the right side, foul. We'll take the count to 1-2 for the 9-hole hitter, J.P. Fullerton.
You know, just to end up the story about Notre Dame, it's always great. After the game, you go to church in the chapel. And the last time we were there, we actually ended up sitting on the steps of the altar. That place is always packed.
Ball zoomed towards Armstrong at second. He plays it into the glove and over to first for out number 3. And we have played through 1.5. Joliet's got themselves 3 men on base, but they can't do anything with them yet. We're through 1.5. It's Evansville 1, Joliet 0 here on the Otters Digital Network. Bottom of the second inning in Evansville, still leading this one after a Zach Bierman single. As we head to the bottom half of the second, it's Brody Tanksley, Andy Armstrong, and George Khalil due up. Now, Brody Tanksley has been fun to watch in these last 10 games, taking on the role as a full-time catcher. While he's been a good signal caller behind the plate, he's also been a very consistent bat there at the plates and has found his way into a lot of good situations. Excited to see what he can do continuing. I am keeping an eye on Armstrong and Khalil, who did struggle at the plate this last weekend. They are certainly due for some good hits. Called strike 1's going to drop Brody Tanksley back to an 0-1 count to start off.
Yeah, it seemed like in reviewing last week, all I remember reading and listening to you is either Gordon, Bierman, or Mcnamee. It was those 3 people that were bringing in the runs or stealing bases, or somehow they were the ones that you were always emphasizing.
Yeah, I tell you what, Bierman and Mcnamee are the 2 that won the series for Evansville there in Washington. The rest of this team was just a supporting cast. It was really, and I know if we said that to them, they would say, no, this was a team win. Right. Those 2 led the charge. Right. It might have been a team effort, but those 2 made it happen. We had some solid pitching efforts as well, which certainly helped.
Well,
0-2 to Tanksley. It's up high, and he's foul tipping it into the glove for a strike 3. The first strikeout for Cole Cook on the day.
That was a lot of a strike zone, a little over his head, too.
And I'll say this much. I'm glad to see Tanksley striking out swinging as opposed to striking out looking as he has in these last couple weeks.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, you know, this is funny. I know I'm talking about my family. It's my son, the one that comes and picks me up after the game every night. And David, and anyway, he was striking. He was playing Little League, and he was striking out constantly. And by that, I'm talking about being called out. And I used to say, David, swing. He'd say, Dad, they're balls. I said, look, David, Joe is the umpire. He calls it strike. Harry's the umpire. He calls it strike. Every umpire, that's a base hit. That's a base hit.
Over to first. There's not going to be anyone there. Armstrong didn't just bunt that. He pushed it down the right field line and just ran alongside it.
When we first started this season, didn't I talk about bunting, how you could get base hits? This guy has emphasized it. He's got several base hits on bunts.
One of you saw him adjust there. He showed bunt the first time. Ware came way in, and that first baseman stayed back. So he said, I can bunt both ways, and made the most of it.
Well, anyway, getting back to David, I said, David, the umpires can't all be wrong. If 5 umpires say there's strikes, it must be you. Here's what I want you to do. I don't care if the pitcher rolls it in. I want you to swing. I want you to strike out swinging. Do you know he became a 300 hitter once he started swinging? All because he had the wrong concept of what a strike was.
0-1 to Khalil. He zooms one foul. It's going to get out of play, and with it, his count will drop to 0-2.
You know, I know I'm talking about my son, but how many ball players out there are that way? If you think, and for a fact I know, we had a center fielder from with the Kansas City Royals.
Ball sent foul to the right side. Playing under it is Coots, and he's able to bring it in for out number 2.
We had this center fielder with the Kansas City Royals on our AAA club, and he was Louisville. He was the same way all the time. Yeah, but they're balls. They're not strikes. Well, then how can every umpire be wrong?
Back to the top of the order we go, where the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Elijah Mcnamee, steps in. He's 0 for 1 with the fly out to right, his first time up. Just about had 2 different home runs at Washington, but they ended up on the warning track for caught balls for outs.
Well, didn't he get a triple?
He did.
Yeah.
And it was just because a right fielder tried to commit to a ball he didn't really have a great chance at, and he dove, and it ended up bouncing past him, and Mcnamee plugged his way around.
Okay.
First pitch to Mcnamee stays high, ball 1. That's one of the things about Washington there. Their bullpens are in the similar places that Evansville's are, except there's about 2 or 3 times as much room going outward. So that ball can get tucked way back in the corner. By the time an outfielder gets to it, a guy's almost standing on third. So if a ball gets past you down one of the lines, it's almost surely extra bases, bases plural.
Well, you know, now I'm going Major League Baseball. There's been a lot of Major League right fielders that with the runner on third, and they come all the way to the stands and make that impossible catch. But knowing if they do, they're not in a position to throw the runner out at home. So what do? You let it go foul. You know, you make an effort, but you don't catch it. You'd rather give up a possible out to preserve a run.
3-0 count to Mcnamee stays high. It's ball 4. And there are men at first and second for Evansville here in the second inning.
That's into your head, sidewalk, cafe and bar.
That's why Mcnamee makes a really good leadoff man. He can sit there and make a pitcher come towards him. That's exactly what he did. Brian Rosario now steps in. Rosario had the double in the first that led to the Otters' first run.
Now, by chance, is Rosario a catcher as well?
I don't think so.
He plays the infield and the outfield, but
a lot of, I believe, left and center are the 2 places he'd really prefer to be. First pitch home to Rosario. It's hit bouncing up towards the Preda Johnson at short. He'll just play to second for the one sure thing out. And we head to the 3rd inning. Evansville unable to do with a couple of base runners here in the second, but they lead this game 1-0 after 2. As we head to the third inning, Evansville holding on to a one-run lead after Zach Bierman's single back in the first inning. And leading off this third inning for the Joliet Slammers is the leadoff man, Tyler DePrita Johnson. It takes ball one high to kick things off. 1-0 count home. Bounces in, and with it, takes the count to 2 balls, no strikes for DePrita Johnson. His first time up, Tyler DePrita Johnson grounded into a weak ground out as it just stayed right there in front of Brody Takesley. Ball skied up foul to the right side. Bierman's chasing that way, but he's going to run out of room as it's going to end up landing on the roof.
Well, when I saw Tanksley stop, I figured it's out of play. But Bierman was hustling all the way.
And I'm sure the Otters are glad to be playing back here again, as both Bierman and Davis had balls they could have caught there at Washington, but because there's just not as much foul room anywhere else, we're not able to. Both of them went running into the concrete walls at Washington. Bierman made a catch into the front row. Davis ended up a couple inches short of his, but I'm sure they're glad playing back home. Ball hit onto the left side of the infield. Davis will play it into the glove over to first for out number 1. And with that, the third baseman, Briley Ware, comes to the plate. He struck out his first time up. Briley Ware actually from a little town about 10 minutes from my hometown. He's from Sedgwick, Kansas, just outside of Wichita. Went to Oklahoma State for a couple of years and now is a superstar in this league, playing exceptional baseball for Joliet.
Wichita, Kansas. I've been there several times. That used to be the San Diego Padres AA team. And both Alomars played there, in case you...
Ware takes the first pitch, and now Watland fires home, and the ball is grounded towards Khalil at short. He plays it into the glove, over to first, in time for out number 2. A couple quick outs here starting the third. That's been all 3 innings for Watland. Boom, boom, gets the first 2 outs, and then they grab a base runner with both outs.
Second baseman, Matt McGarry.
Matt McGarry had a single his first time up, was stranded at second. He's looking for more of the same in this at-bat. Matt McGarry waiting on his first pitch, finally on the way, and it's hit sharply towards Khalil on the ground. He plays into the glove, over to first in time for out number 3, and it's the first 3-up, 3-down inning of the game. We head to the bottom half of the third. Joliet 0, Evansville 1, here on your home for the Otters Digital Network. Bottom of the third inning. Evansville still leading this one after a first inning RBI from Zach Bierman. And as we head to the third, it's Jeffrey Baez, Zach Bierman, and J.R. Davis due up.
33, Jeffrey Baez.
Baez flew out to center his first time up, but it was a productive at-bat. It moved Rosario to third, where he was easily driven in by Zach Bierman.
Right. As long as it's productive, it's a star. You get a star.
Starts off with ball 1. And make it ball 2, another inside pitch.
You know, let me get this straight. Right now, the season just ended, and we're in third place. So we would be going to Schaumburg to play them in one game.
A one-game series,
But
yeah.
we'd be going to them because they're in second place.
Correct.
Okay.
And it would be Tuesday the 6th, the first Tuesday after the regular season ends.
Do they have Taco Tuesday?
I don't know if it's an actual night for them, but I know they have walking tacos there.
Oh,
so
okay.
you get a bag of either Fritos or Doritos. They just put all the taco stuff on top of it. 2-2 to Baez, stays low. 4-3.
Well, you know, I ordered a dozen tacos for the room service here.
Nothing
I
yet.
was promised it'd be here, so we'll have to see. And it's the Imperial one, the ones you like.
A 3-2 to Baez is fouled off to the right side. Good work to just defend things.
An overhead foul ball brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
A 3-2 stays inside, and Baez is going to get himself a leadoff walk here in the third.
Sidewalk Cafe.
I'm going to make an observation. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm going to make an observation.
First baseman.
I don't think Baez picks that ball up until it's nearly over the plate because he doesn't stride forward. He's always hitting off his back foot, meaning that he doesn't realize where the ball is.
So now brings up Zach Bierman with one man on and nobody out. He zooms one out towards right. Maxwell would drop back a few steps, and unfortunately solid contact is met by a right fielder who didn't have to move an inch.
How many times have you seen Bierman swing at that first pitch? Let's say 50% of the time.
In the last month, maybe 10%.
Third
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's certainly fallen down in this last month. He's been more than happy letting a guy pitch to him a couple times.
But generally, he likes to attack the first pitch.
He nailed that ball, but unfortunately just to the wrong guy.
The guy that invented this game knew exactly where to put those players.
J.R. Davis at the plate now. First offering to him. Just misses on the outside half for ball 1.
Ooh, what was that?
Throw over to first, and Baez
Boy.
is just barely back in time.
I never even saw that. All I saw was quickness out there. And
Yeah, you've got to be careful with a lefty arm on the mound because he
Yeah.
can zoom one over there. High inside pitch to Davis. We'll take the count to 2-0.
yeah, lefties, they have unusual moves. You actually got to get them to throw the ball over the first several times to realize what they're doing.
Called strike takes our count to 2 balls, 1 strike now for J.R. Davis. A 2-1 is pushed down the right field line. Looks good, and it's going to drop out there for extra bases. Davis zooming around first. Baez is going to get the stop sign. And the ball gets away from the first baseman. Baez will score. The throw to third looks good.
He's
It's
out.
in time. They get Davis. But Baez is going to score on the error there.
So Davis gets a double and well, I don't know if they give him an RBI or not. Depends on how you look at it. But boy, wasn't that something? Heads up, Baez.
Yeah, that was, and Baez was ready to go home. He got the stop sign, almost fell over
Oh,
stopping.
yeah. But again, Davis getting thrown out of the third. That's hustle. You can't fault hustling It looked like, did you hear that? It sounded like it hit him.
Stayed high and in
Yeah.
for ball one, and immediately Fullerton goes out to have a chat with his pitcher. And this is probably just a, hey, take a deep breath, reset. We've got 2 outs. Let's get ourselves out of the inning.
Yeah, and I've arranged for your college, Corey. Oh, forget it. I can't think of my heart doctor, cardiologist.
So with now nobody on and 2 outs, Miles Gordon at the plate. Flash had himself a solid weekend too. Grabbed a couple of extra stolen bases here and there to put the Otters in chances to score.
Someone beating a drum down there. I don't sing Secret Weapon. He wasn't at the gate when we came in.
A hefty swinging strike evens the count for Miles Gordon.
And the Taco Man is behind us. And we were just talking about the Taco Man.
Pitch is pushed off foul to the left side. Ware will chase that way a little bit, but leave it alone for strike 2. Miles Gordon taking an extra second to get back to the plate. He grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up with Otters at first and second. The 1-2 to Miles Gordon. Again, pushed foul. Good defense there. Obviously was just trying to defend the plate there. He immediately swung and grabbed his bat and was wincing his hands. Must have rode up on the bat handle a little bit on him. The 1-2 to Miles Gordon. Let's try it again. Outside, and the count evens up 2-2.
You know, again, if the only thing you had to do.
Swinging strike 3 will sit down Miles Gordon, but the Otters do score a run on either the RBI double or the error. We'll get it finalized. They score a run. It's now 2-0 Evansville as we head to the 4th inning here on your home for the Otters Digital Network. Top of the 4th inning here. And it's an 0-2 count to Matt Feinstein. Pitch bounces in for ball 1.
And there's some pretty good breaking pitches on the first 2 strikes to this batter. So Wentman does have a pretty good breaking pitch. There it is.
On the inside, called strike
There it
3.
is.
And you can go ahead and make it 4 German American Bank strikeouts for Justin Watland, his first called strike 3.
And that was the pitch I told you was he's throwing it for the 2 strikes.
He's controlled the zone very well.
Yep. Did the official scorer give us a count on RBI?
It'll be there was a double on the play, and then Baez scores on the error.
Okay, so no RBI.
No RBI. But Evansville does get themselves the second run.
Right.
Can't take that away from them. Hard hit ball out to right. It's going to go over the head of Armstrong and down into right for a 1-out base hit for Jackson Coots.
If I was the scorer, I would have ruled on the same way. I'm quite sure you had it down that way.
That's exactly what I thought it was. If Baez is plugging home no matter what, you give him the RBI. Right. But he got the stop sign and then advanced, so
that's right.
That was my thinking. So.
No, I agree with you.
Lane Bearmore at the plate now. He struck out his first time up. First offering to him is low for ball 1. Do want to give you a quick check-in at Schaumburg. Washington scored 2 runs in the first inning, and now they're in the 4th. Still sitting pretty at 2-0 in favor of the Wild Things. Big game there between 1 and 2 in the West Division. Check over to first, and back in time is Coots.
Well, there's no way Washington is not going to be in first place. I mean, they got, what, a 10-game, 9-game?
They would almost have to lose out the rest of the season to lose the spot. Hard hit ball towards Davis at third. He's going to throw one across the diamond, and it gets past Bierman. So running towards third now is Coots. It will be an RBI, or sorry, not RBI. It'll be a single for Lane Bearmore. And then both men advance an extra base, or just Coots advances due to the error on the third baseman, Davis. So there's runners at first and third with 1 out. One out, bases or runners at first and third, and heading to the plate is the DH, Matt Birch. Birch grounded into a ground out over on the right side his first time up. Long wait for the first pitch to Birch. It's hit sharply to the right side, through for a base hit. Rounding second's going to be Bearmore. The throw over to third looks good. Is it in time?
Out.
Not quite.
Looked like he tagged before he got that, whatever. Anyway, a base hit.
Davis disagreed with it, but there are men at first and third now after another RBI. This one has an RBI attached to it.
Well, I thought
Right fielder 28, Carson
Davis
Maxwell.
made the tag before he ever got there, but I guess maybe he avoided it. From our angle, it looked like he got him.
So it's now 2-1. Evansville now being a little more thankful they grabbed that extra run in the last half inning. Still work cut out for Justin Watland. Men still at the corners with 1 out. Carson Maxwell at the plate. First pitch to him. He's way out in front of it for strike 1.
I thought that the runner on third was going to steal home. Did you notice how he broke quick? I thought it was a squeeze play.
The 0-1 to Carson Maxwell. Stays low, 4-1, and our count evens up. One the offering to Carson Maxwell. And it's well outside for ball 2.
Now that was good by Tanksley to have good agility on that particular pitch. Otherwise, there would have been it'd be 2-2. It's
Runners at
okay
the
to sweep
corners.
that glove, but you better get your body in front of it too.
Hefty swinging strike, two. We'll even our count up. Again, Watland has a man way out in front of it. He must be, at least to the batters, deceiving his off speed very well.
Yes.
Boy, would this be an important out to grab for Watland. 2-2 count to Carson Maxwell with one out and runners on the corners. Pitch comes home and it's fouled over to the right side, and Rosario makes a quick play in the dugout. Unfortunately, that out does not count.
But he was a little out front of that pitch too. So again, another deceiving pitch by Whitland.
Count stays even for Maxwell with runners on the corners and one out. Big time scenario for Evansville to try to get themselves out of and keep themselves ahead. Ball shot to the right side, stays foul.
Dennis tells me that overhead foul ball.
And with it, our count stays even at 2-2.
Choose the best, never regret it.
My goodness, beautiful night for baseball here in Evansville. Otters trying to hold on to their lead. Gonna go check on the runner at first. Wow, really good throw over there. But just back in time was Birch.
Very nice to pick that runner off at first. Give us 2 outs. Then strike this guy out.
Again, they check over. That one's on the wrong side of the bag, but Bierman's still able to make a good grab over there. And while Watland is also keeping the runner close at first with those throws, he's making Maxwell really think about it at the plate. He fouls one back into the netting, keeps himself alive, and keeps the count at 2-2.
That's 3 foul balls in a row. It's a wonder that runner on first didn't steal that.
Let's try again on the 2-2 pitch to Carson Maxwell. There goes the runner towards second, and the ball is just dribbled foul to the right side. The count remains 2 balls, 2 strikes. RBI single from Birch gave Joliet their first run of the game. Maxwell's trying to give them their second. 2-2 home. Half grounded up the middle, picked up by Watland. He's going to throw over to first to grab out number 2, and most importantly, the runner from third doesn't go anywhere. Productive out there on the 1-3. Birch does reach second on the play.
I was surprised the runner on third didn't come all the way home. I don't know if he had made it or not, but it would have been close.
That's a gamble at this point of the season that might be worth it.
Yes.
So the catcher, J.P. Fullerton's at the plate now. Runners at second and third and 2 outs. First offering to him. Stays low, ball 1. Tanksley does well to keep it in front of him. One out count to the backstop, J.P. Fullerton. Takes a beautiful looking strike 1. 95 there from Watton. Turned up the heat. A 1-1 home. Swinging strike 2.
I don't know if that was off speed or what. Change? That looked like it floated in and he was way out in front.
Well, and it was a fast change too. It was 87 mile an hour, but his last pitch was 95, so that one looked a whole lot slower.
Oh my God, I thought it was a change.
1-2 home to Fullerton. Swinging strike 3. And Justin Watland gets himself out of the inning. Gives up 1 run, but keeps men in scoring position. We head to the bottom half of the 4th. Evansville still leads this one, 2-1. Bottom of the fourth inning here. Evansville still leading by 1. And before we go any further, huge credit to Justin Watland. Had himself a little bit of a tough 3 back-to-back hits. Settles in nicely. Couple strikeouts. He went back to doing what worked for him, and that's how he got him.
You're right. He got himself out of his own jam, and that's what a good pitcher does.
Well, especially for a guy who missed a couple of weeks due to some injury, and then came back and had a so-so night back, and then now has started to settle back in. His pitches are working for him. That's a good inning to have for you, where you can, have adversity come your way, work through it, and still be successful on the other side.
Well, it gives you confidence.
Yeah.
And that's what he needs.
Because you never know how much an inning like that can go in this last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because, there's going to be tough. There's a good chance Watland now pitches in the series next week against Washington. That might be an inning you need to think back to when you're playing Washington and get yourself in a jam.
That's true. When what they say is the money ball players or the pressure ball players, no matter what the situation is, they handle it with calm.
2-2 to Tanksley, fired out towards Feinstein in center. He's underneath it for out number 1. Good contact there from Tanksley, but just stayed up in the air a bit too long. So that'll bring up the 8-hole hitter, Andy Armstrong. Armstrong bunted for a single his first time up, but was stranded at second.
If Gordon and JR were to utilize their ability with speed to bunt more, I think they'd have more base hits. It's very simple just to practice putting the bunt ball down and with your speed running it out.
0-1 to Armstrong. It's fouled back into the netting, and it was really good to see Armstrong hint to the third baseman, take him out of the play, and then put it the other way.
Right.
It shows the baseball IQ he has.
There were 3 Latin ball players, 3 brothers. They all played in the majors at the same time, and I can't think which.
0-2 for Armstrong, fouled out down the right field line, but it's going to get out of play just barely.
And I'm thinking one was an infielder playing with Pittsburgh, and he was batting like 100, and he wanted to improve his hitting, and whoever the instructor was, the batting instructor said, just put the ball down on the ground. You've got great speed. Learn to hit grounders. He went from a 1-something hitter to a 300 hitter only because he learned to run. Hit the ball on the ground and run. So if you've got great speed, learn to bunt and run.
1 ball, 2 strikes for Andy Armstrong.
The Alou brothers, it came to me. One played with Montreal, one played with San Francisco, one with Pittsburgh, I believe.
Even count to Armstrong, sent bouncing back up the middle to Prita Johnson with a tough play to first, and it's in time for out number 2. One of the things that you can be certain of in these next 3 nights, Tyler DePrita Johnson is one of the most skilled shortstops in this league because of how quick he can be out there on the base paths. Made a good example there.
You ain't kidding. He came out of nowhere, made it look like an easy play.
And his exchange was instantaneous.
Yes, his body flows, just like an well-greased machinery.
First pitch to Khalil. He grounds one over to the first baseman, Coots, who will step on first himself. And it's a rather quick 4th inning for Evansville. We've played through 4 full innings, and it's Evansville 2, Joliet 1, here on your home for the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Top of the 5th inning here on the Otters Digital Network. Otters trying to keep this game where it's at. Justin Watland had a good into that last half inning after the beginning didn't quite go his way. He will face the leadoff men of Tyler DePerta Johnson, Briley Ware, and Matt McGarry.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Otter Bells.
DePerta Johnson has grounded into a pair of groundouts so far today.
Johnson, we do apologize for those technical glitches with our computer.
Johnson's a guy you don't want to see get heated up there in the leadoff spot. Otherwise, he can be a menace to have to pitch to. And, well, there goes Justin Watland, fooling him on another pitch.
I know it. He was really fooled because he was embarrassed, put it that way.
0-1 home. Stays well high, and with it the count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. One is lifted high and shallow to the left field area. Khalil is underneath it. He calls everyone off for out number 1. That was right where Davis was standing, but Khalil must have had a better eye on it. He called everybody off.
23, Briley
Well, you know
Ware.
how those shortstops are. They want to be captain all the time.
Briley Ware, the hard-hitting third baseman, steps up. He's 0 for 2 so far on the day, but his ground out to Khalil was pretty hard hit his last time up. Way out in front of the first pitch, high and away. He turns back towards his dugout, smiles, shaking his head.
Yes, because where that was not in the strike zone at all.
The 0-1 is fouled away back behind home. A half swing that he did not go through enough on.
Well, here he is. He's way ahead of him, 0-2.
Yeah, now Watland's in the driver's seat. He gets to determine how this goes. 0-2 stays high. Ware won't go after that one, and the count goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I was going to say, you know what would have been the perfect pitch? An off-speed curveball on that last one. He probably would have been looking for a fastball and to throw him at off speed.
Ball zoomed to the left side, but foul. Keeps the count at 1-2. Ball sent out towards right. Chasing over is Mcnamee, where he'll bring it in for out number 2.
I don't want to say what I saw, but I'm going to say it anyway. That looked like Bailey actually took that pitch out of the catcher's glove. I mean, that was past the plate, and that's why the ball went to right field, because it was a late swing, and the ball passed home plate. But that's the way I saw it.
Pitch stays just above the zone for ball 1 to Matt McGarry. McGarry's 1 for 2.
You know, I had a college professor that once said, and if you think of it, he's right. You're never wrong if you think you're right.
Another ball sent out towards right. Mcnamee will go over towards it, get underneath it, and that's where he'll bring it in. For out number 3. Quick getting there. And we're to the center point energy, center point of this one. Evansville still leads by 1. Evansville Otters baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. To the top of the order we go for Evansville, where Elijah Mcnamee, Brian Rosario, and Jeffrey Baez are due up.
Oh, you couldn't ask for anyone better.
First pitch to Mcnamee, taken for strike one there on that inside edge. Zooming ball right into the glove and out of the glove of Cook. Ball will play over to first for that first out of the inning, though.
Designated hitter, 13, Brian Rosario.
So a quick out there brings up Brian Rosario with one man out. Nobody on here in the bottom half of the fifth inning.
You know, I'm looking up at the scoreboard, Matthew, and Rosario is batting 300. He's the only Otter batter batting 300, isn't he? Rosario?
Other than Phillips, yeah.
Yeah, well, Phillips not playing, you're right.
Called strike is going to take the count to 0-2 for Brian Rosario. And, you know, at first you were like, okay, yeah, it's you know, new batter doing well. His average is high, but now it's 20 games for Rosario, and he's still hitting above 320. I think he's proven that he is going to be a 300 hitter down the stretch.
Well, it's not so much the hitting, how many base hits you got. It's how much contact you make. If you can hit the ball solidly, the base hits are going to come.
A 1-2 stays high and evens his count up. The other thing that stands out about him to me is the fact that he's able to get himself on base often. His on-base percentage is at 410.
Really? And he's got good speed. We know that.
2-2 to Rosario. Is fouled back into the netting. He'll keep himself alive.
Now, he started the season with the Otters playing third base, didn't he?
When he joined the team, I think he might have played one game at third, but he's mostly been a left fielder.
Okay.
2-2. That one's fouled off of the helmet.
I thought he was Phillips' replacement at third. When Phillips got injured, he started playing third base.
Let's see. On the season for Rosario, I've got him with 15 starts at left, 1 in right, and 2 as a DH, 3 tonight. So I guess he's only been a left fielder and right fielder.
Okay. My mistake then. I must be thinking of Joe DiMaggio or somebody.
You were thinking probably of Anthony Torales, who filled in at third for a long time.
Yes, Torales.
2-2 to Rosario. It's weakly fouled right back up the middle. Finally picked up by Cook. The throw to first is just in time for out number 2. My goodness, very close play out there.
I'll say, now if he was batting lefty, he probably would have made it because it's a matter of one step.
Some people in the ballpark might disagree, but that is a good call. That wasn't out. It was a great throw from Cook.
I won't argue.
So with 2 down and nobody on base, Jeffrey Baez heads to the plate. He's 0 for 1 on the day.
I'm looking up at that 8 home runs. Now, that's a big disappointment when we remember him from last year when he was smashing that ball over that left center wall.
Yeah, and of his 8 home runs, 2 of them are grand slams. That leads the team. Only 3 of his 8 home runs are solo shots. So when he's hit them, they've meant a lot. Yeah. But unfortunately, they've been few and far between.
Well, I know 2 of them have been grand slams. I know that.
0-1 to Baez. Half swing he went around enough on. Drops him down to 0-2.
I bet he doesn't pick that ball up until late. He might need glasses. Now, that sounds like it's a negative thought, but it might be really.
0-2, Baez leaves it alone. 4-1, keeps himself alive.
That's one of the things the Braves used to do in spring training. They put everybody through eye tests. You'd be surprised how many people ended up getting glasses.
Ball hit hard to the left side. Going to be a tough play for DePrita Johnson, and it gets through for a base hit. Even if DePrita Johnson gets that into the glove, I don't think he throws out Baez.
No, because
that was a wonderful effort.
Right, he slid on the grass, so therefore he'd have to stand up, plant his foot, and get a good throw, strong throw. And he'd be out halfway in left field, so no, I don't think he would have. There's no way he would have threw Baez out.
Zach Bierman at the plate now with 2 outs and a man on first. There goes Baez towards second. It's a throw out, and the pitch out there is not in time. There goes Baez towards third. There will be no relay, and that's Baez using his speed to take advantage of an error from Joliet.
Yes, sir, it was.
And because of it, the job of Zach Bierman has gotten much easier.
Well, a wild pitch could score, and I was going to say, on that last Washington trip, didn't we score a few runs on wild pitches?
And it was because of things like this. The Otters making it like taking advantage of, let's steal a base. Let's force a throw.
Right.
And in that case they do and make the most of it. A fouled away ball will even our count at 1-1. Bierman already has 1 RBI in the game, and RBI single back in the first inning. This will be a nice run of insurance for Evansville to find a way to grab.
Well, again, it's up to Bierman. You know, it's like I say.
1-1. Did he go around? Yes, he did. Actually, I think that's just a called strike.
I was going to say, that was a good pitch. Whether he swung at it or not, that was a good breaking pitch. Had good bite to it. Yeah, Bierman has been the hero. Him and Phillips were the strong men. And then Phillips went down. Now Bierman's by himself.
Ball zoomed to the right side. That one will stay foul, and with it, Bierman keeps steady at 1-2. Baez with a stolen base there extends his year of stolen bases. He now has 22 on the season. He's right behind Miles Gordon, who has 25.
Really? And you look at the body build of Baez, and you don't think he'd be a base stealer.
The 2-2. Bierman zooms it out towards right. Maxwell will drop back, and yet again, it's great contact for Bierman, but right at the right fielder Maxwell. Baez does as much as he can to get himself to third. The Otters strand him there. After 5 innings, it's Evansville 2, Joliet 1. Top of the 6th inning, Evansville holding on to their 2-1 advantage. Got themselves a man in scoring position that last half inning, but left him there. Not much more you can ask for from Zach Bierman. He made good contact there, but it just wasn't right in the right place.
That's right. Like we said, the guy that invented the game knew exactly
First pitch to Feinstein. Left alone for a called strike one. Justin Watland kicks and delivers quickly on the 0-1. That one stays too high. Never got a good bite to it. And this count evens up 1-1. So now a 1-1 pitch to Feinstein. Again stays high.
It looked like there were two curveballs, but he didn't pull the shade.
The 2-1 home. That's low and outside and takes our count to 3-1.
We don't want no walks. Let them get base hits, but don't walk them.
The 3-1 looked good, but was not called strike, and with it, it is a leadoff walk for Matt Feinstein, his second walk of the day. So that will bring up the first baseman Jackson Coots, who's 1 for 2. Grabbed a single back in that fourth inning.
17, Jackson Coots.
Ended up reaching third on the error and coming home to score on Birch's single. First pitch home to Coots. Hit sharply towards Armstrong at second. He picks it up. The throw to second for one is in time. They will not get back to first for out number 2, however. So it's just a 4-6 on the fielder's choice.
You talk about quickness. That's what Mr. Armstrong has got.
Well, I think Jackson Coots knew that. He was quick out of the box to get himself to first in time. Coots stands 6'3". Doesn't look like a speedy guy as much, but he really zoomed down there to first.
Well, you know, you and I have said this all along. You can't ask for a better combination than Armstrong and George, short and second. I mean, that's they're quality players, defensive players.
0-1 to Biermann, and he's way out in front of it for a swinging strike 2.
You know, just think if George and Armstrong were at short and second when you started the season, that might have been a couple of defeats that they might have had in the win column, and they wouldn't be worried right now.
0-2 to Biermann, barely makes contact and fouls it back towards Tanksley.
What if, you know, that big advertisement on TV, what if or should if or, again, if.
You hate to play the game of what if, but man, are there quite a few scenarios.
Yeah.
The 0-2 to Biermann, outside, ball 1. Well, obviously you're excited and you're proud of the guys who get their call-ups to the minor leagues, but you always ask, what if that guy hadn't gotten his contract purchased?
Yeah.
1-2 count for Lane Biermann. Runner at first and 1 out. So it's inside and evens his count up.
Well, what if the first baseman for the Yankees didn't get hurt and that other guy comes in and plays 2,100 and some odd straight games, lose something, wouldn't they?
2-2. Stays high, and I think Biermann thought it was ball 4. Almost threw the bat at the...
No, it is ball 4. He was just getting the bat out
Ladies and gentlemen, we need Larry Davidson.
Oh, wait a minute.
Larry
You are right.
Davidson to the first base gate.
So they're going to, I think, go ahead and give the man second, saying he stole it, while the man at the plate was taking all of his stuff off, and I think Bob Davis had gone ahead and called the walk. So I'm surprised we don't see Andy McCauley fighting the man getting to second more.
Well, actually, it was a bad strike call. But, again, when the batter makes the umpire look bad, the batter is going to suffer.
So there will be a stolen base included there as well.
And a 3-2 count.
Yeah, the count goes full. Ends up being ball 4, so the walk won't matter much anyway. So now with runners at first and second and 1 out,
18, designated
Lane
hitter,
Biermann heads to the
Matt
plate.
Birch.
And here's the man who drove in the last. Oh, here comes Max.
Yeah, all three batters for Joliet have gotten on base. A walk, then a fielder's choice, now another walk. And that's going to spark a quick discussion up there on the bump. Nobody warming for Evansville right now. Simply a chance to just calm the nerves up there on the bump. Due up next is Matt Birch, who's 1 for 2 and is the man that's
got the RBI.
Got the RBI, yes indeed. So with 1 out and runners at first and second, Matt Birch heads to the plate. First pitch home is sent to the right side, into the glove of Bierman, to second for 1, back over to first, not in time, however, and it will just be a 3-6 fielder's choice.
Right fielder, 28, Carson Maxwell.
So for the second time in the inning, Evansville so close to turning a double play, unable to, and that's going to give Carson Maxwell an opportunity with 2 outs and runners on the corners. You know, this is Joliet proving it pays to zoom out of that box. No matter where you put the ball, give yourself a chance to be safe.
I agree. You hustled out of that box, and you know I can't think of his name. That's one of my problems.
Ball zoomed out towards center.
That's caught.
Gordon will chase in towards it and bring it in for out number 3.
That's caught.
Joliet with their best chance on the day, but they're unable to do anything with it. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Evansville still on top, 2-1. And we head to the bottom half of the 6th inning here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. The Otters are holding on to a 2-1 lead, but boy, would they like to add some insurance runs to that.
2, J.R. Davis.
Yeah, what's that light down there in left field? That's a bright light. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's one of the street lamps that just always shines this way, especially bright for some reason.
I've never seen it before. It's the first time it's caught my attention. But it's a distraction. I'll get my 22 and shoot it out.
First pitch to J.R. Davis. Finds the zone for a called strike 1 on that inside half.
I'll take that back. I sold my 22, so I don't have it.
0-1 to Davis. Off the handle of the bat, foul to the right side. It's going to get out of play, however.
Letterhead foul ball brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best, never regret it.
Ballsy Field, the home in Otterville. This is a beautiful field. Just look at that. The way that grass has been cut, how it's beautiful. What an honor to play here.
0-2 to Davis. Again off the handle of the bat. Again, foul. Yeah, and it finally helped this week. Despite it being awesome that we have lots of events here, this week the Otters played here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then nothing touched the field all weekend. It got some time to grow, got some time to fill in these gaps, and it looks really nice today.
It's beautiful. And when you think of this field was built, or this stadium was built in 1915, that's a pretty, now I know it's not the same field out there. The stadium's the same, but the field has been different.
1-2 to Davis. Sent on the ground towards the pro to Johnson, into the glove over to first for out number 1. Yeah, it's always fun to go on the road because people ask about this place.
Is that right?
They always want to know, what it means to us, like what it's like to call games there. And at first I'm like, oh, it's just any other ballpark. And then I really sit down and go, it is really cool to get to call games here. And I think we start to forget that sometimes, that there's a lot of people who have walked through these halls, through on this field.
A lot of major leaguers have played on that field. I shouldn't say major leaguers.
First pitch to Gordon. He lays down a button down the first baseline, and a poor throw from Cook will end up with Gordon getting all the way to second, maybe even third now after the poor throw. And he's going to be into third with an error on the pitcher. When the opposing team gives you a chance, you have to take it.
And I want a pat in the back to say, what kind of hit was it? It was a bunt. And how many times this year have I been preaching that they should be taking advantage of that? And right now he took advantage, and he went from a batter to being a runner on third base with the insurance run.
Well, now you've got Brody Tanksley heading to the plate with a chance to give Evansville a run of insurance. Huge chance for Evansville. Foul ball starts us off at an 0-1 count. E1 allows for all 3 bases. And with 1 out, Miles Gordon's just 90 feet away from putting the Evansville Otters up by 2. An 0-1 pitch to the catcher Tanksley. Off the handle of the bat and foul yet again.
Big Red just reminded me to tell you that overhead foul ball was brought to you by Heads Construction.
So why did we give Gordon? Did he get a base hit and a 2-base error?
It was all 3 on the air.
Not a base hit?
Not
my God.
And I'll tend to agree with this one, because had that throw been online, it would have been a bang-bang play, but it probably would have had Gordon.
You think so?
I think so. I think it was close enough.
Okay.
Ball sent over the head of Ware, and a run's going to come in to score. Ware pinched in a little too much, and because of it, Brody Tanksley has himself an RBI single.
There you go. Another thing I preach all year. I disagree with that playing in. Play back, and it would have been a base. I mean, it would have been an out.
You might have even been able to go home and take that runner out. I mean, the whole play changes if you play that 5 feet further back.
That's right.
But I'm sure Tanksley's all right with it. Gets himself an RBI. Evansville takes, once again, a 2-run lead.
Yeah, they've out-hit.
Right away, Armstrong was showing bunts. Pulled away in time for ball 1.
The Otters have out-hit the opposing team 7-4. And the other team has 3 errors. I didn't believe that.
1 out. Man at first is Tanksley. Armstrong puts one out towards center field. Chasing it is Feinstein, and it'll drop in front of him for a base hit. So there's runners at first and second now for the Otters.
And Armstrong got his base hit.
Got himself his second base hit of the day.
Shortstop, 28, George Khalil.
So that will now bring up George Khalil with 2 men on and 1 man out.
And 1 run in.
Ware is still playing close there at third. I wouldn't even have been surprised to see Khalil come to the plate and try to bunt both guys over and give your leadoff man Elijah Mcnamee a chance with 2 men in scoring position.
Well,
But after the swinging strike, I'm not so sure now.
yeah.
0-1 is fouled off to the right side over towards Evansville's bullpen on the check swing.
Although, Skipper, I have to disagree with you. I'm not going to give up an out when I got a runner already in scoring position.
That's fair.
You bunt him to get him in scoring position.
0-2 count for George Khalil. Runners at first and second and 1 out. Swinging strike 3 will sit down Khalil for out number 2. That's just the 3rd strikeout of the day from Cole Cook. So we head back to the top of the order where Elijah Mcnamee steps in.
Taylor Jones, leadoff batter of the game in right field, 9, Elijah McNamee.
McNamee is currently 0-2 on the day, but he's got a chance with 2 men on and 2 men out. Time taken by the catcher, Fullerton, to reset. First pitch home. It's a big hit, Mac. Stays high, ball 1.
You know, one of the biggest transactions between a college player and a professional player is the bat. The wooden bat versus the metal bat.
1-0 to Mcnamee. Zooms one out towards center. Feinstein will chase in towards it and brings it in for out number 3. Otters bring one across on the RBI single from Brody Tanksley. We head to the 7th inning. Otters now lead by 2. And we head to the top half of the 7th inning here. Evansville leading by a pair now. And the first pitch of this 7th inning is a rock-solid hit to right for J.P. Fullerton. That didn't take any time at all. Just solid contact right there.
Back to the top of the order, shortstop for Tyler DeBretta Johnson.
So Tyler DeBretta Johnson now to the plate.
And one of the things you take away now is the bunt. Now, if there was that 1-run lead, you might be bunting him over. But down by 2, you got to be hitting away.
First pitch in, good for a called strike.
A manager and a coach's strategy changes depending upon the situation of the game.
Ball sent out towards left. Baez will chase in, and that's where he'll bring it in for the first out of the inning.
That was hit pretty hard, though.
there in the half inning. Good friend Bill and I celebrating our final Taco Tuesday here at Bossy Field. Had our good friend Lucas bring us up a pair of tacos
Oh, yes,
here.
and I'll tell you what, we have the best tacos in the business.
If you didn't have a chance to make it out to Bossy Field and try the new Supreme Tacos this year, you missed out. But
Yes.
there's a chance there's a Tuesday night playoff game that you could maybe grab one. But you got to cheer hard for this Otters team.
And get the Supreme.
Got to get the Supreme one, absolutely. Speaking of postseason, let's give another check-in to Schaumburg, where the Boomers still trail 2-0. They're in the bottom of the sixth right now. So right now, a pair of first-inning runs, the difference maker. And a couple of swinging strikes by Briley Ware have him back in the count. You know, obviously, there's been some hits here and there given up to Joliet, but the fact that he's been this dominant against Briley Ware, who's certainly the most dangerous bat on that lineup, is a good sight to see.
Well, plus if he hit him twice in two different games, I would have there's a fly ball out.
0-2 out towards right center, and it's Mcnamee who brings it in for out number 2. Elsewhere around the league, there was a double header happening between Tri-City and Ottawa. In Game 1, Tri-City won 6-1. Over in Avon, Lake Erie leads Windy City 9-7. Lake Erie, another team in the playoff hunt right now, and if Joliet struggles in this series, we could see Lake Erie pop up into the 4th spot. Quebec leads Trois-Rivières 4-2. Sussex County leads Empire State 9-3. And New York leads New Jersey 2-1.
Empire still hasn't gotten that winning streak together yet.
They found 2 in a row against Windy City a couple weeks ago, but that's their longest.
That's it.
Also, Tri-City and Ottawa playing Game 2 of their doubleheader. Tri-City's up 2-1 there. (1-0) Matt McGarry. High inside, just barely gets away from the batter for ball 2. If you notice, the 2 names I didn't say were Gateway and Florence. They're playing a 2-game series to make up for the 4-game set Gateway played us earlier in the year. This is when they're taking the 1 game off to make up for the 4-game sets. So that's why Gateway's off tonight, and Florence is the team they're taking a night off against. So we're going to see Florence come in here after just 2 games instead of 3, which I don't know how much of a difference that makes. But
Well, we're going to be, instead of 96, I remember reading something about we'd only play 95.
Correct, after the canceled game against New York a few
Right.
weeks ago. Yeah. 2-1 the count to Matt McGarry. Watland fires home. Misses inside for ball 3. Do have some pitchers warming up. Can't tell the number from Joliet down there on the left side, but it does look as if Jake Polansik is warming for the Otters out in the right field pen. He has been for some time, I just forgot to mention earlier. Ball belted right, and foul is going to get out of the ballpark for
You say
strike
Bobek
2.
is warming up or was warming up.
Polansik, it has been for a while. I just forgot to mention it, but he's still warming out there in right. But the man in left for Joliet has been facing us for a while, indicating to me he's ready to enter this game.
Well, both pitchers have done an excellent job.
3-2 to Watland. Way out in front of it was McGarry. It's grounded towards Bierman. He'll toss it underhand to Watland, who will step on first for out number 3. We head to the bottom half of the 7th. Evansville still on top in this one, 3-1. A pitching change needed for Joliet. They are going to ask Chandler Brierly, the lefty, to enter out of the left field pen. Brierly hails from Ridgewood, New Jersey, a second-year slammer. And he will look to keep this game right where it's at, a 3-1 game in favor of Evansville. It's his 27th appearance on the ERA, sitting just near 3.5. This call to the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Brierly on the mound, Fullerton behind the plate. That pitcher catcher battery sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East. Located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Leading off for Evansville here in the 7th inning is Brian Rosario. He will be followed by Jeffrey Baez and Zach Bierman. Each of Rosario, Baez, and Bierman each have base hits so far in the game. Rosario and Bierman combined theirs for the first run of the game back in the first inning.
Yeah, Rosario's double. Bierman, Fire bringing him into third from a long fly ball to center. And then Bierman, yes.
Well, you know, you and I talked about it at the top of the show tonight. We wanted to see Evansville grab the runs here and there and let those 3 or 4 add up against the team that sometimes that's all it takes to win. And they've done it by capitalizing on some of those unforced errors, just like in that last inning when the error on the pitcher allowed Gordon to get himself all the way to third. The Otters scored on him.
Right.
Rosario at the plate now, 1 for 3 on the day, a double back in the first. Pitch to him here. And it stays in the zone for a called strike 1. Rosario is going to stick in the game as a righty as he continues to face a lefty. Oh, 1 count to Brian Rosario. Nobody out, nobody on, kicking off this inning.
I don't know if you've ever tried switch hitting. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not an easy thing to do. Both perspectives, whether you're a righty or lefty, if the pitch is coming in at a different angle, a different speed, a different whatever.
The 1-1 stays low for ball 2. Unfortunately, there's not a good way that we can see his splits between when he's hitting as a righty and when he's hitting as a lefty. Presto's unfortunately not made to do that. But I can tell you he's been consistent as both a righty and a lefty.
Right.
I would love to see his splits. The 2-1 for Rosario. Catches the inside edge and evens our count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Polansik does look warmed up out there in right field. He seems to be ready to enter this game for the 8th.
Good.
That's what I'd like to see. I think Watland's pitched phenomenally in this one. Let him have his 7 innings that have been strong. Why not give Polansik 1 and potentially Sawyer 1 then?
I'll agree with you.
The 2-2 to Rosario, sent sharply towards the second baseman. It takes a weird hop on him. A play not in time at first. And it will be an error on the second baseman. That one took a hard hop into him. And, you know, had he taken that one well into the chest, picked it up and thrown the guy out, we would have said, good work. That's the right thing to do, take it into the chest. But unfortunately, it took a weird bounce off the chest, and it results in an error.
Right. And when the breaks are going your way, everything's going your way.
So it brings up Jeffrey Baez with now a man on first, nobody out. Here in the bottom half of the 7th, time is called before the first pitch. First offering to Jeffrey Baez. Called strike on the high inside corner. Man, I love what we see from Chandler Brierly up there on the mound, because the way that he releases that pitch, it works inside to you, but it doesn't lose any of the speed. It's still a very quick pitch towards you. And because of it, it's a swinging strike 2 for Baez, just a little bit late on that pitch as it was just coming in quick.
And it was outside, and Baez reached to get. I don't know. Baez has a habit of reaching. And when you look at his stance at home plate right now, that bat is covering the plate, so why would he have to reach?
An 0-2. That one comes in near the foot of Baez for ball 1.
Whatever. Let's hope he gets a base hit.
A 1-2 to Baez, again well inside on him, and his count evens up 2 balls, 2 strikes. A 2-2 towards Baez. Again, stays inside. This one finds enough zone for a called strike 3, and Baez will sit down via the backwards K.
Well, I was looking at the monitor,
First baseman.
and I didn't think that was a strike, but
I don't think Baez did either. He was ready to take his next pitch, but
yeah. I normally don't look at the monitor, but I just happened to be. I said, I wonder what it looks like. Our eyes are always glued to the field, which again is what we get the big money for.
so that brings in Biermann. Still a runner at first, still just 1 out. He shatters a bat and sends a ball foul. There goes some more lumber for the fire. Go get your new lumber at Niehaus. Man, that half part of the bat just shattered on him.
They're not Louisville's, are they?
I'm not sure what a lot of the guys use.
Well,
everyone uses a little bit
Louisville,
different.
Adirondack were the 2 bats. And we used to get our names on them and the model you liked.
The 0-1 to Biermann. High inside for ball 1. I do know that Zach Biermann swings one of the heaviest bats I've ever felt. The guys make joke with him about it, saying that he is swinging a tree trunk.
Oh, really?
I mean, his is he doesn't have the curved in dome like the top of the bat like a lot of guys. His is filled in all the way.
Oh.
I mean, it is a heavy thing.
Well, I played with Pepper Thomas, their shortstop, here in '56. Now, Pepper was a quarterback for Ole Miss, and he was probably 5'8" at the best. He swung a 40-some-odd ounce bat. I used to say, how the heck do you do that? I swung a 33 ounce. I could get it around. I could whip it. I said, how can you get a...
2-1 to Biermann. Right up the middle. It's off the foot of Briarleaf. Rosario was stealing, and he got to base anyway, and because it went off the foot weird, also reaching will be Biermann.
That's a base hit, I'll tell you.
Wouldn't be surprised if, the trainer's going to come out and have a look at things. That was a hard hit ball right off the ankle.
I think it shocked him to the point he didn't know what to do.
Well, I think he also thought it hit off so hard the third baseman would have a play at it, but it didn't really get to the third baseman. There's a big smile from Briarley, which is good to see. He sends the coach and the trainer away, and I imagine they'll give him a couple of pitches just to make sure everything's all right. That is good to see. Hate to see any play like that. That can't feel good.
Well, whether it's basketball, football, ice hockey, or baseball, you hate to see anyone hurt.
He takes one warm-up pitch and immediately nods in, so he must be confident with how things feel.
You watch American ice hockey, and Evansville's got a pretty good team, by the way. Now that you'll be here all year.
They just rebranded, actually. Earlier this week, they did a brand new logo, brand new color scheme, a couple different things.
Well, you'll be able to see them now that you'll be here. And but anyway, the 2 American hockey teams, they love to punch each other and kick each other. And I was in a...
Both guys trying to steal, and both guys will be safe.
Why didn't he throw the second? He could have gotten him.
Certainly thought about a throw to second, and then maybe he didn't grip the ball as well as he liked, and that's why he held on. But
maybe because the runner going to second was trotting in there to second base. Well, anyway, I was in Munich, and I watched the Americans play the Russians in a ice hockey game in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. And every time there was contact, they'd stop and they'd like apologize to each other. I said, boy, European ice hockey is different than American ice hockey. American ice hockey, you want to battle it out.
Called strike evens the count at 1-1 for J.R. Davis. Davis is the top RBI man on this team, and boy, has he got a shot now. 1 out, runners in scoring position. 1-1 pitch home.
That's a strike.
Finds the zone for a called strike 2.
Yeah.
Big chance for Evansville to add to their lead here.
Isn't it amazing that you would have the third baseman be your leading RBI hitter?
Well, the word that's described Davis has just been consistency.
Yeah.
The 1-2 home to J.R. Davis. Pushed out towards right, but foul.
Remember, there was one team that we played here several weeks back, and I was making reference. I said, well, here comes a guy. He's got 42 RBIs. Here comes the next batter. He's got, I think it was
Tri-City.
Was it?
Almost their entire team makes up the top 10 of RBIs.
Right. Everyone was in the 40 or 50 category. And then here you have our RBI man, 47, and we don't have too many 40s.
The 1-2 to J.R. Davis. Push to the right side. Is it going to be fair? Finally, foul ball is called. It took forever for Bob Davis to call it.
Yeah.
There's not an umpire there because he's out playing second. So that's Bob Davis's call, and he didn't put the hands up until the right fielder had touched the ball. So I think the Otters thought they had scored because there was no foul ball called.
So did I. I was going to say, here comes 2 runs.
So the runners will remain at second and third. The count will remain at 1 and 2, and Davis is going to have to try again. Davis also leads the team in runners on third with less than 2 out RBIs, meaning, sacrifice flies, things like that. He's got 21 of that nature, which is far best on the team. He has not let guys stay stranded at third this year, which has certainly helped Evansville. Sure, he would like to add to it here. The 1-2 to J.R. Davis. This one sent down the third baseline. That one is fair. 1 run scores. 2 runs are going to score. There goes J.R. Davis to second. He's got himself a stand-up 2-run double, and the Otters lead by 4.
I'll tell you what, Brooks Robinson couldn't have gotten that one. That hugged that line too far. So here the Otters finally take advantage and get those insurance runs.
He said, fine, if that one's fouled down the right field line, I'll give you the one down the left field line.
Right.
Center fielder 6 Miles Gordon.
And that increases the lead in the RBIs.
Indeed it does. He has 3 of them just today.
Yes, right.
So make it a 5-1 advantage for the Otters with Miles Gordon heading to the plate. Runner on second is J.R. Davis, just 1 out. A little bit of a wait for Brierly. And he fires home. It's sent weakly back up towards Brierly. He plays it into the glove. And they're saying it was actually fouled off the foot of Gordon before it went anywhere. So we will not have a play. Well, one of the things that I've noticed every time you and I are sitting here calling a game and I'm updating people on the scores around the league is it's this 6th or 7th inning every single night that Washington scores 3 or 4 runs of insurance and puts their game away. That's what good teams do, and Evansville has to continue doing things like we're seeing right now in this 7th if they want to be one of the best teams in the league. You got to be a team that can grab insurance when you need it. 0-1 to Miles Gordon. Called strike 2 on that outside edge.
Well, that's a pretty good setup for the pitcher, too, and you're going in that 6th, 7th, 8th inning, and you got yourself a 2 or 3 run lead. Whoever is pitching, the starting pitcher or the reliever, You've got a good position you're in.
High ball just barely misses the head of Gordon.
Well, it looked like he slipped on the mound up there.
What have you noticed? The dirt of the mound looks much darker than everywhere else, almost like it really held the moisture in well there in pregame when they were watering everything down. It almost looks like it just really held it well.
Well, it looks real dark, meaning there's a lot of water, yes.
The 1-2 is pushed foul to the left side.
I'll agree with you on that. You know, pitchers, they need to get that grip so they could push off on that rubber.
Another ball stays low, and with it, the count evens at 2-2. So we're here in the 7th inning. Otters now up to a 5-1 advantage after J.R. Davis got those couple RBIs with his double. The 2-2 to Gordon. And again, fouls one into the ground and off of his body. Polansik continues to warm down there for the Otters in the right field pen. He had stopped for a while, but now he's restarted. 2-2 count for Miles Gordon with a runner at second and just one out. The pitch to Miles Gordon. Swung on and missed. It broke way low and away from him, and he sits down with his second strikeout.
That was kind of like a fairy wand or something. No, it's just he just swung at it, but he didn't want to hit it.
I think he started the swing and then saw the thing just dive out of the zone away from him, and he had no chance after he was halfway through the swing.
Okay.
Brody Tanksley making his way to the plate now. He had an RBI single back in the 6th inning, a chance to maybe grab another here. First pitch home to the backstop, Tanksley. Outside, ball 1.
That catcher trying to move that ball over the plate. I mean, it's where it goes over the plate. It's not where the catcher catches it.
But it's worth a try because a lot of catchers get those called sometimes.
I know it, and yet a lot of umpires will call it just the opposite.
The 1-0 to Tanksley. Cranks one out towards right. It's working foul. Coots is going with it towards the warning track over there, and it ends up bouncing out of play. So the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike for Brody Tanksley. The man out there at second is J.R. Davis with 2 outs. Brody Tanksley looking for his second RBI hit of the day.
Well, Zane Codfelder was leading a happy birthday to somebody up here in the press box. Zane did a good job.
1-1 to
okay.
Tanksley. Swinging strike 2, drops him back in the count.
So, happy birthday. I think they're going to have to call off that helicopter for my 90th if we're not here.
1-2 count to Brody Tanksley.
Oh, look at
Davis. Beautiful jump out there, but a foul ball will negate it. He'll have to head back.
He had third base stolen before the catcher even would have gotten the ball.
Yeah, he could have just about walked over there.
Yes. Now, you celebrated the birthday up here the other day. 24 you were, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, back in July.
Yeah, you and Preston at the same time.
Yeah, we celebrated the Otters' 9th straight win that night,
Okay.
and then that's when things started to go south. So I think I liked the 23-year-old me Otters better. Ball set up the middle. Wonderful grab by McGarry, but he will have no play. My goodness, that should be an RBI hit, but McGarry just saved a run.
I was ready to say there comes another run. But you're right. He saved the run.
Man, that's a play we see Andy Armstrong make a lot of the time, and we're not used to seeing other guys making that like that.
Andy Armstrong.
Well, as a pitcher, and you see that, you'll say, my God, these guys are helping me.
They've got my back.
They got my back.
So there's runners at the corners now, still 2 outs, and Andy Armstrong heading to the plate.
You know, now this sounds ironic, but I caught, and he was the MVP. Don Notabart pitched here, and he ended up he was the MVP of the league. He had a 19-2 record. And it seemed like when he went out in the mound, you didn't play 100%, you played 150% compared to somebody else was pitching. Now, I don't know why, but you seemed to play a little extra harder when he was pitching. He pitched the first no-hitter for the 45 Colts, if you remember that. That was the Houston Astros original.
Hard hit ball to DePreda Johnson. He'll go to second for the one they need, and that will end the inning. But not before J.R. Davis drives in 2 and extends the Otters' lead to 5-1. You're on your home for Evansville baseball, the Otters Digital Network. New pitcher as we head to the 8th inning. Jake Polansik gets the nod out of the right field bullpen. Polansik has been mighty consistent in these last few games. More on that in a second. Tanksley on the mound. It's Polansik on the mound. Tanksley behind the plate. Pitcher Catcher Battery sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. The 0-1 is well outside and evens our count at 1-1. I mentioned it to you during pregame. Polansik has given up just 2 hits, no earned runs in his last 10 appearances. That spans 16 1/3 innings. In that time, he's given up 7 walks, 25 strikeouts. He's been a lot of fun to watch.
I know I had the pleasure of talking to him before the game, and I too compliment him on his outstanding pitching performance.
2-1 to Matt Feinstein. Pitch stays just a little bit low for ball 3. The runs that we got in that last half inning from J.R. Davis certainly give you the feeling that you might see Polansik in both the 8th and the 9th now. Now that it's not a save situation, you might trust Polansik to get you through 2.
Well, that's a good thing there.
3-1 is fouled back in, and we've got a full count. I'm sure Logan Sawyer will be up and warming just in case he's needed in the 9th, but with the consistency you've got from Polansik, why not try to give him the 2 innings? Three balls, 2 strikes to Matt Feinstein. Here to kick off the 8th inning. Pitch comes home. It stays a bit too far in. 4-4. And that will put the leadoff man Feinstein on base.
First baseman,
That's the 3rd walk Feinstein's taken today. 3 of his 4 at-bats have resulted in that.
Is that right? And
his one other was a called strike 3, so he's been more than happy watching pitches go by. It'll bring up the first baseman, Jackson Coots. He's reached on his last 2 opportunities, once with a fielder's choice, once on a single. First pitch here, he's swinging and fouling a pitch off to the left side. Will end up out of play.
And it looks like he's got one of those cooking gloves in his back pocket. Pete Rose really changed the game, when with that head-on slide. Johnny Bench changed it with one hand catching.
0-1 to Coots. Called strike 2. Polansik puts himself in the driver's seat. Don't forget that the homestand continues tomorrow night with a Senior Connection Wednesday. Individuals 55 years of age or older get a $2 general admission ticket. Love to see you out here at the ballpark. Only 5 more home games here at historic Bosse Field.
And that's it, unless we're in the playoffs.
Yep. 0-2, right back up the middle, into the glove of Polansik, out to second for 1, over to first. In time, my goodness.
Well, that should have been an automatic out from the batter. I thought he caught it on the fly.
I went straight into the dirt and then into it.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what happens when you get old. You know, your eyes don't pick things up as quick.
So it's 1-6-3 on the ground into double play. One of the best ones you'll see. And now the bases are empty. There's 2 outs, and Lane Bearmore heading to the plate. Talk about helping yourself, bail yourself out.
Right, yeah, he bailed himself, is right.
A 1-0 offering to Lane Bearmore is fouled off to the right side, out of play, and evens our count at 1-1.
Brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best, never regret it.
Yeah, the Otters have these 3 games here with Joliet. Then they host Florence for 3. Then they're back on the road for the final 6. 3 at Washington, 3 at Florence. And unfortunately, we're all going to leave Bosse Field next week on Sunday having no idea if we're hosting a playoff game, having no idea if we're making the playoffs. It's hard to tell. Ball shot out towards right. Mcnamee chasing back towards the wall and makes a catch at the wall. No, it fell out of the glove as he got there. So it'll be a stand-up double for Bearmore. Mcnamee got to it, but as he fell into the wall, it fell maybe out of the glove. He maybe didn't get the squeeze on it. Maybe it fell out of it. It was hard to tell from this far. At first he had it, and then all of a sudden I saw him reach back down towards the ground.
I didn't see it, but did he hit the wall?
Yeah, fell back into the wall. Yeah. That might have helped break up the play.
Yeah. That might have jolted the ball out of the glove. You got to give Mcnamee a heck of a lot of credit. I mean, he plays a great defensive outfield.
And that's another one of the occurrences where you wonder when is going to be the time to switch away from the chain link fence and go to a more, I don't know if you want to say permanent option, but something you can put padding on out there in the outfield to help protect your outfielders a little bit.
Well, what are you going to do with those signs? That's where the money is. I mean, when you look at it, there's the 3rd out.
Ball sent out towards center. Gordon working over towards it. He's underneath it, and that's out number 3. A 2-out double will not come back to haunt Evansville. And because of it, we will head to the bottom half of the 8th. Evansville leading this one 5-1. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, we have a new pitcher on the mound for Joliet. It will be Caden O'Brien, the lefty out of Maiden, North Carolina. Caden pitched for the University of North Carolina this spring before being signed by Joliet. He's since pitched 9 different times for the Slammers this year. ERA just north of 6. O'Brien actually listed as a right-handed thrower on the Slammers roster, yet he's listed as a lefty batsman, so maybe there was a mistyping there, hard to tell, but he's throwing lefty out there.
Well, maybe he's ambidextrous. Tonight he's pitching lefty,
Could
tomorrow
be.
he's righty.
Could be. Call to the bullpen presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. O'Brien on the mound, Fullerton behind the plate. Pitcher Catcher Battery sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. George Khalil into bat, takes a called strike 1 to kick things off.
My last game in 1953 at Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Mike, he was a Mexican, Mike. I can't recall his last name. Anyway, he was pitching righty, which he pitched all year, and then he called timeout, and they threw him a lefty glove, and he pitched a couple of innings lefty. He wasn't that good either. Whether he was a righty or lefty, he wasn't that good. But he was one of the manager's favorites. Mike, he was a little older too.
2-1 count to George Khalil. And that stays outside for ball 3. I might be wrong here. It's been a while since I saw the picture. I think he pitched for the A's a couple years ago. But there was an ambidextrous pitcher who had a glove specially made so that he could wear it either way.
Right, yes.
And it had 2 baskets on there.
Yeah.
It looks strange, but 2-2 to Khalil. He zooms one out towards center, but Feinstein will play over towards it, and he's underneath it for the first out.
Well, the Boston Travis Jackson, probably one of the finest managers the Braves ever had in their minor league system. His son, something happened to him when he was a young kid. He was a right-hand pitcher, and something happened. It was a car accident or something, so he ended up pitching lefty. And the Braves gave him a $25,000 bonus. He couldn't. He was a righty that, whatever, but he couldn't throw a lefty. I'll tell you that. But it was like a good gesture to his father, Travis. Rewarding his son.
1 out, nobody on, and Elijah Mcnamee, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, coming to the plate. Takes ball 1 inside, and then a called strike to even his count up at 1-1. Do want to give you another check out there in Schaumburg, where, of course, the Washington Wild Things are on the road. Schaumburg scores 2 runs in the 7th. The Washington hops right back up on the 8th and is up 3-2 in the top of the 8th inning. Close game going up there. Right now, I think Evansville's probably fans of Washington because that helps you. If you win and Schaumburg loses, you guys are tied for second again. I think Washington's all but won the West now, so now you're just hoping to keep yourself in the race for second.
Right.
Ball is skied up in the infield over towards the right side. Coots is underneath it, and there's out number 2 in foul territory.
Well, if the Otters ended up in second place, then that game you said that would be in Schaumburg, that would be here.
Yes. Now, there's also the question that Washington has the chance to clinch their playoff or to clinch the division this week. So we could be traveling to Washington next week with them already having clinched home field advantage. Right. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but you could see that team rest some guys. You're not playing all of the top guys right there. You could grab some wins next week at Washington again.
I was just as you were.
I know that's not Bill McEwen baseball, but
no.
It's certainly something to keep on the radar.
Yes, there is. It is. Yes.
So Rosario is at the plate with 2 outs, and now an 0-1 count after taking a strike. 0-1 is hit sharply towards the shortstop, right into the glove. We head to the 9th. Jake Polansik set to come back in this one and try to earn a save. Otters lead by 4. 9th inning comes at you next.
Maxwell.
We head to the top of the ninth inning. Evansville leading 5-1. Jake Polansik will return into the game. Logan Sawyer's going to start warming just in case out in the right field pen. If Polansik finishes the game, he's got himself his first save of the season, as all he needed was the final 4 outs for it to be considered a save for him.
All right, good. In the meantime, thank you for that complete rundown on the situation. It'll be to our advantage. It'd be in second place so that we have the home game.
Yeah, right now, if we finish this game winning, Schaumburg finishes out losing against Washington, the Otters and Schaumburg will go back to being tied, therefore second place. And as of right now, things kind of favor Evansville with that series because they won the season series against Schaumburg 5-3. So they own the tiebreaker in second. So the Otters would be technically second place at the end of the night.
So then that helicopter still has a chance of arriving with me.
There's a chance.
Right. Okay. Well, that's all I'm asking for. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen out there in Otterville, do you hear what Matthew just said? We have a chance. Don't forget. I'll let you know what time it's arriving. And please don't ask me for autographs.
2-2 the count to Carson Maxwell, the 8-hole hitter. Right fielder is 0 for 2 on the day. Listed as a infielder on their roster, but he has played outfielder in quite a few games. 2-2 home. Swinging strike 3, and Jake Polansik will kick off this ninth with his first German-American Bank strikeout of the game.
Yeah, and that was kind of a chest high, letter high, whatever you want to call it, fastball that he just couldn't reach up and catch it. That's
he just gave him the heat.
Yeah.
So that'll bring up the 9-hole J.P. Fullerton, who's 1 for 3. Hit a couple balls hard, but fortunately they haven't been in his favor yet. First pitch home to Fullerton is fouled back into the netting for strike 1. Season and series continues tomorrow night, 6:35 first pitch here from historic Bosse Field as Joliet and Evansville continue this 3-game set. If you can't join us in person, join us here on the Otters Digital Network or Flow Sports.
You know, the Knights of Columbus, of which I am a member, is coming out, I think, Thursday. And years ago, I started them. When I first started it, I invited the wives. I said, you know, this way here the wives who sit home and wait all the time. So this way it'd give us a good crowd too. But they used to serve chicken with the hamburgers and hot dogs. Oh, that chicken was delicious. I'd always sneak down and grab a couple pieces of chicken and run up to the press box.
1-2 to Fullerton's left alone, and it evens our count at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yep, Knights of Columbus. I believe, I stand to be corrected, I believe Bill Bussing's father was a member of the Knights of Columbus. I should ask him that.
A 2-2 to Fullerton is fouled off to the left side, and he'll stay alive in the count.
Do you know how the Knights of Columbus started, to be just real quick? Well, back in the 1980s, the Irish were coming over, and people up there in the New York East, they used to say Irish not apply for a job because there was no job for the Irish. So some Father McIvery from New Haven, Connecticut, got together, started this organization strictly just to feed the poor Irish that were out of work. That's how it started. That's number one degree for the Knights of Columbus.
3-2 to Fullerton. Again fouled off. Great work from J.P. Fullerton here to keep himself alive in the count.
Charity is number one.
Construction, choose the best, never regret it.
Yeah, Irish not apply. Can you imagine that? That's why they all ended up digging the Holland Tunnel and all those tunnels. They call them mud something.
A 3-2. Misses to the outside. Very close pitch.
Yeah.
But it'll be a 1-out walk here for J.P. Fullerton.
You know, I don't know if you're from the Midwest. I don't know if you know this, but those New York skyscrapers, you know who helped build them? Most of them? The Mohawk Indians. Because they're the only ones that would go up on those girders, 100, 200 feet up in the air. And that's the ones, Mohawk Indians.
First pitch to Tyler DePreta Johnson. Misses to the outside for ball one.
Yeah, can you imagine walking a girder maybe 5, 6 inches, and you're up 200 feet, and you're walking across one of those girders that's only 5 or 6 inches wide? My God, I'd be crawling across. I wouldn't be walking across.
Called strike one, evens our count at 1-1 for the leadoff man, Tyler DePreta Johnson. DePreta Johnson's 0 for 4 on the day. 2 ground outs, a pop out, and a fly out. A 1-1 home is sent skied up behind home. Tanksley playing over towards it, but it's going to work its way onto the roof. He had both of his coaches, both Andy and Max, standing right up there on the top step with their hands up ready to catch him if he got too close to the dugout.
Oh, is that right?
But unfortunately for the Otters, the ball worked a little too far out of there. They weren't able to make a second out catch, but it will take the count to 1-2.
Well, that's called teamwork.
Yeah, and I heard one of them yell, we got you, we got you. So 1-2 to Tyler DePreta Johnson. Ooh, great pitch there, but he didn't chase it. Like that from Polansik. Worked a curveball towards the outside edge, and DePreta Johnson won't bite this time.
A double play would end the ball game.
2-2 home from Polansik. It's put foul to the right side and keeps our count even.
Polansik working that outside. He's got Johnson leaning. Now you come back inside. Boom.
With that heat he's been throwing, because he's hit those mid to low 90s. So
yeah, but if you got the guy leaning, come back inside.
We're still even at 2 balls, 2 strikes to Tyler DePreta Johnson with 1 out and a runner at first. Ball put out towards left. Long run for Baez. He gets to it, but after it's bounced, and there's runners at first and second.
Yeah, you could see that was a base hit. It was dying. His left center dying.
Third baseman. 23.
Anyway.
And it looks like Max Peterson will come have a chat with his pitcher, Jake Polansik.
I'd leave him in. How many? Oh, we got a 5-run lead.
4-run lead with 1 out and runners at first and second. Peterson will make a change, and that will end the day for Jake Polansik. Logan Sawyer going to come in and try to finish this one out. More on him in just a second. Well, we're still here in the top of the 9th, and Logan Sawyer will enter the game with a chance still to pick up the save We had it wrong. He can still get the save here.
Oh, he can. Well,
But there's one out, runners at first and second, with the man from Knoxville coming in, the Frontier League's top closer, 20 for 20 in save opportunities this year is the record so far for Logan Sawyer. He has proven himself as one of the hardest pitchers to even get a hit off in this league, let alone grab a run.
Well, what has, to me, been the biggest surprise, I'm talking scouting now, is we lost several of our pitchers during the season to franchise baseball, yes. But this guy has been outstanding all year, and yet no franchise team ever picked him up. I thought this guy would go before the All-Star game. Base hit.
Ball sent out towards right, down for a base hit. Mcnamee will pick it up, and they will keep the runner at third. So the bases are now loaded with one out.
Right. But I know if I was still scouting, I would have recommended this guy, and we would have picked him up long ago. You and I have talked. Relief pitching, you got to throw strikes, and that's one of the hardest things. And here's a guy that comes in, he does exactly what you want, throw strikes.
He also approaches the game very well, and the fact that he's just a calm guy entering games. I mean, you don't have to worry about him being super stressed in situations. You don't have to worry about him having his emotions take over. He's really able to just come into a game and play the game he loves.
Right.
First pitch to McGarry, swinging, strike one.
What about 90?
I saw right away 98.
My God.
It's pretty simple. When Logan really wants to settle into a game, he just throws it fast, and a lot of these guys cannot keep up with it.
Well, I remember you were saying that, a couple of games it was 97. And
0-1 to McGarry. It's fouled back into the netting and takes it to an 0-2 count.
You've heard me say it before, and I'll repeat myself. Goose Gossage, one of the best relievers in the Hall of Fame, and he would just challenge. He would throw nothing but fastballs in this situation. He had a great change, but he would never throw it. He was determined he was going to strike you out by his power over you.
The 0-2 to McGarry is lifted very high and foul. Working over there was Tanksley and Davis, but it did get too far away and onto the roof. So the count remains 0-2.
That's construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
Yeah, we had Goose in town for the Night of Memories, the Tri-State Hot Stove League Night of Memories. Goose was our principal speaker. And the minute he saw me, he gave me one of those big bear hugs. Goose and I got along real well.
Let's try it again on the 0-2 pitch to Matt McGarry with one out and the bases loaded for Joliet. Sawyer kicks and delivers. Swinging, strike three. And a German-American bank strikeout puts the Otters just one out away from finishing this one out.
Fans in section G will each receive a free Hoosier Lottery ticket. Fans must be 18 or older to receive.
Two things here. You got to be happy that the Otters put their faith in Jake Polansik. Gave him a chance to come in and do it. And then step two, you got to be happy that you have a man like Sawyer who can come in and do this for you if need be.
Well, if you're asking me, I'm going to say the pitching tonight for the Otters has been outstanding. Whether we're talking about the starting pitching, the relief pitching, and now the finisher. It's been real good. This is what the Otters need to end up in second place to give them that advantage.
They still have the second best team ERA in the entire league. They've just got to hold on to that. Yeah. Be that great pitching team you know you are. 0-1 to Feinstein after the swinging strike one, and a foul ball will take Joliet to their last strike in this one.
It's a shame that period of time when we lost, 9 in a row or something. You let Washington just leap ahead of us, and we were going back to back with Washington for first place.
Crazy to think at the All-Star break they were one game back and could have led going into the All-Star break.
Right.
0-2 to Feinstein. Swinging, strike three. This ball game's over. The Otters get a 5-1 win against the Slammers here, you have got to be careful because if the odds are getting hot, this is going to be a team to be worried about here in these next few weeks. You know, and this was one of those games that the Otters started the game well. They played well in those middle innings while getting runs and their pitching, and then they finished the game well. You had Jake Polansik you were relying on there in the eighth. He pitched well, got out of a little bit of a jam there. Logan Sawyer helps you out, picks up his 21st save of the season, and the Otters, at least right now, have put themselves in a position that they could move back into second place with a loss by Schaumburg tonight. One final look over there for you right now. Washington still leads in the bottom of the eighth. You'll have to find out for your own how that one finishes up. Of course, we'll give you an update tomorrow as well. Evansville got this one started all the way back in the first inning. They brought in a run on Zach Biermann's RBI single. Then we settled in for a while. A couple innings later, they grabbed another run.
Biermann got the RBI on that Rosario double.
Yeah, a double that shouldn't have been a double, that he worked into a double, yeah. And then in the third inning, an error helped the Otters bring a run home on J.R. Davis's double. Baez was able to sneak home on the error because of the poor throw. And then we went another couple innings without a run before the Otters brought in an RBI single from Brody Tanksley, capitalizing on another error from Joliet. That's the story of this game, making Joliet pay for their own errors.
Yeah, I remember looking up there and saying, Joliet's got 3 errors already. And like you say, they were costly errors.
And then finally there in the seventh, another error from Joliet allowed Rosario to reach after Bierman reached as well. J.R. Davis brought them both in with a 2-run double, and that was what helped lead Evansville to their 5-1 win here. This one feels like a complete effort.
Oh, yes.
They got help from
I'll agree with you.
They got help from just about everybody in the lineup. The pitching was rock solid. There was never a doubt after those first couple innings that this is going to be a game that Evansville wins because they did the little things right.
I'm with you 100%. This has been a total team win.
And if you got to watch the two against Washington last week, it was the same thing. The pitching was phenomenal, and the batting said, we'll pick up the runs when we have the opportunities, and that's what they've done again.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they can continue this style of baseball to the end of the season, we'll be in second place, and we'll have that game here.
More importantly, the Otters, hopefully not, could lose the next 2 nights to Joliet, and they would still be tied with Joliet in the standings. So they don't lose out on third right now. Obviously, you don't want to lose both games. You want to keep propelling yourself up. But if the worst happens, you're still here in this top 3 and in the discussion.
Well, you educated me and the fans out there by saying that second place, you have the advantage of playing at home, and it's a 1 game. So I'd rather, if we're going to win or lose, I'd rather do it at Bossy Field.
This one feels good. I won't lie to you. After the 6-game losing streak a week and a half ago, the Otters picked up back-to-back series wins last week. They come home, started off with a win that they really controlled from front to back, and they'll move into the rest of this series behind a couple of strong arms. Let's preview tomorrow night's game for you. It's the righty Ryan O'Reilly for Evansville, and he'll face off against the righty Cam Ofterhide for Joliet. Ofterhide has been very good this year. A 3.66 ERA, 7-6 record, and a lot of those losses are just because his offense could not produce for him. Tomorrow night should be fun. 2 really good pitchers who have struggled to have good offensive productions behind them. If these two settle in, we could have 5, 6, 7 innings that go scoreless tomorrow.
Well, let's hope the Otters get what you expect. And when this team leaves, Joliet leaves, Evansville, Otterville, they're not in third place anymore. I mean, they're not in second place.
Otters continue the season tomorrow night, 6:35 against this Joliet team. If you can't join us in person, join us here on the Otters Digital Network or Flow Sports. Bill and I will have every single pitch of it for you right here. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, he's Bill McHugh and I'm Matthew Will, saying so long from beautiful, historic Bossy Field. We will talk to you tomorrow night, 6:35 first pitch between Evansville and Joliet.
God bless.